Welcome to Inner Peace Arts Unscripted. I'm your host, James Coleman. I'm a writer and coach on personal development, spirituality, and social change. You can check out my blog at innerpeacearts.wordpress.com. Follow me on Facebook at Inner Peace Arts 1 and Twitter at Inner Peace Arts 1. That's Inner Peace Arts, one word with the number 1 at the end. And if you follow me on Twitter, you get little things that pop into my mind, and they end up being ideas that get developed later on. So it's kind of a preview of what's happening in this instance. Today I'm moving away from the personal development pieces we've been going over and going back to moving into social change and spirituality and some implications there. I don't know whether I've shared this, but certainly the role spirituality has been playing in how I've been, living has changed, and spiritual experiences have been rising much more than previous. And I'm working it out, and I think my roots are in Christianity, and I am finding that there's more confidence I'm having in that tradition, and it's derided, and I think one of the reasons why, which I'm going to share, is that because parts of or aspects of Christianity are in open rebellion against the ruling class. Open rebellion. And these aspects, of course, I think have been, put down, laid to rest. Not laid to rest, but, subsumed. I can't find the word. I don't know why. Made submissive to other ideas. And also, I'm going to share that, there are aspects of Christianity and Christian tradition that I would completely revamp. So I have no qualms about saying that, believing that. I think there's a different kind of expression that's going to take root and make itself known and be a force to be reckoned with, which is one of the reasons why I do what I do. But let's get to the basic idea for today. Is the idea of render unto Caesar what's Caesar's, and what is God, what is God's. That you can find it in Matthew 20:21 is where you can find that. And then the other related idea is, you can't serve two masters, God and money. And so that's my starting place today. And I'll just throw this in so that for people that may be new, that this is different than your typical kind of sermon. I'm starting off with scripture and it sounds like it's going to be a sermon. I mean, you could call it that, I guess, but you could call, the speech that the president of a company gives to their employees a sermon, right? So let's not get into too many linguistic things here. No, let's just move on. The idea that I want to present here is to start off with that question, that statement, you can't serve God, you can't serve money, and render unto Caesar what's Caesar's and what's God's to God's, makes it very clear that the rule of one's life is better when it's not serving money. So there needs to be an alternative to money, right? And I think who seeded the money anyway, right? It's somebody. It belongs to somebody, and it's being used to value me, value my production, value my trade value. It's used to objectify me in a way that I may not be in agreement with. And so I need a different system in order to interact socially to meet needs. right? Because we are social beings, social creatures, and we help each other out. That's how we survive in this world. And another system is needed for health and wholeness if we are going to, express universal consciousness in a organized way, and in a way where we have an actual culture that we can touch and talk about. So that's where I'm going here, is that Christianity is in open rebellion, that's an essential piece to Christianity. And it's, I think about the notion of the Nietzsche's Übermensch and Christianity as a slave mentality, because it's basically people who haven't overcome and they're crying, and I'm kind of setting that aside and saying that they're the Übermensch, the person who is going to actually set in place some rules, is going to be physically manifest, right? You have to have some kind of physical manifestation of these ideas in order for them to be put in place. You're going to have physical defense, etc. And also, if you're going to put these things in place, you're going to need technologies, which is why I advocate for people of universal consciousness to get involved in technology and to understand how it works. I've said this before. There's religion, technology, and technology is the tools that you're going to use to actually exert that control and put it in place. But you can't serve the rule. You can't serve the ideal. Can't serve the reaching for the ideal, and serve money or the needs of a few who would seek to control, because that's essentially what the money is. The money is an attempt by a few to control the many. And so this is really what I wanted to share today, that what I wanted to share is that you can't serve God and money, and that the rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's and unto God what is God's is really this notion of an alternative method of exchange. It seems rather odd, but I think that's really what it's pointing to. What is the means of exchange by which we're going to live our lives? And is that exchange going to be money-based, which is controlled by someone, or is it going to be rule-based? Now, I get the rules are going to be ones that we have passed through us and made material. But they're not going to be ones that emphasize control over another person, or emphasize excess control over other people. And I think that's the big difference, is that it's breaking down that historically oligarchic rule over people openly. That's what Christianity does. So you can remove Christ if you like, right? And take this idea that I will not be ruled by an oligarchy. I will not be ruled by money. And what are the things that you need to do in order to do that? This has been a very different kind of session for me, because it's so personal in a way, because it is Christianity making itself known, or Christian perspective, and I think it's unavoidable, and I think it's the best that's available, and I think it makes for a better world, and makes for a focus that makes for a better, more equanimous, is that a word? World whereby people can act as free agents and do what they want to do, need to do, without being oppressed by some small class of people. And so that's my offering today. Very interesting one, I think, but one that's thought-provoking in terms of what should be one of the drivers of what we do, or of what spirituality is trying to empower, right? The spirituality is, I think, intended to empower you against an overwhelming force. It's intended to empower you against an overwhelming force. That is what this whole thing, I think that's the peak of what we're talking about here. Spirituality is intended to empower you against an overwhelming human force. And you can't serve money in order to do it. That's where this is. And this has been fantastic and well worth it. I am James Coleman, writer, coach, inner peace artist. Check out the blog. And this has been great. Yavarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom. Have a great day.